Hey guys, how are you doing? This is Zed from Zed Outdoors and I hope you're having an awesome day. So today I am with Dio of Spoon Crank. Dio, how are you doing?
I'm good. Nice to see you.
You too as well, Dio. Now, if you're not familiar with Dio, he runs an online marketplace, all things spoon carving related, called Spoon Crank. He's based in Stockholm in Sweden and is originally from Greece. Now, throughout this year that we're currently recording this video, Dio has been visiting the UK and together we've been going to spoon carving and green woodworking events here across the United Kingdom. So we're spending a lot of time with each other, and throughout that time, as we've been camped out and at the festivals and doing stuff, what I've noticed is Dio using a sharpening system that he's devised and put together himself to sharpen all of his tools, okay, that uses in spoon carving and crafts. So we've been talking, and off camera I spoke to him and I asked him a question one day saying, well, Dio, how do you use, right, this system? What does this do? What does that do? And immediately, me being me, Zed Outdoors, I thought, you know what, this will be a really, really interesting video. So I paused him, I said, don't tell me anything, let's save it until we're recording this video. So currently we're at the bowl gathering. If you're not familiar with the bowl gathering, it's the largest gathering in the world for all things woodworking bowl related. And so we're here in Hereford in the west of England, and I do need to take a moment to thank Will and also Yoav, the organisers of this event, for allowing us to film in this location. So we're here at the moment and we're taking a brief opportunity away from all the goings on at this event to film this video. Now what's going to happen is this: we're going to break this video into two different sections. In the first section, we're actually going to look at the sharpening system that Dio has built up from the ground up himself and kind of innovated over the years. So we're going to have a look at that in a lot of detail. In the second part of this video, what Dio's going to be doing is a basic demonstration of how to use the sharpening kit to sharpen your axes, straight knives and hook knives. Now this isn't going to be a really extensive tutorial in terms of the second half. As you can imagine, each one of those is a completely separate video, but what this video Dio wanted to do was at least show a little bit of a basic guide of how he uses his system to sharpen those tools. Now the intention with this video is twofold. Number one, to obviously show Dio's sharpening system that he's taken many years to refine and is constantly refining, but really alongside with that, what we wanted to do, and this even Dio said adamantly as we were prepared for this video, that what he really wants to do in this video is kind of give you some ideas about a sharpening system you may want to put together for you to look after your tools. So by the end of this video, you hopefully walk away with a few tips and tricks about putting your own system together, whether you do that from the ground up yourself or you even source it with Dio, or you get Dio's system and incorporate some of your own elements into that as well. There's no hard and fast with this role. So what we're going to do now, we're going to look at the sharpening system and then we're going to look at a few techniques for how Dio uses that system to sharpen his tools. So Dio, with your kind permission, shall we begin?
Yeah, that's good.
So guys, we're going to begin the rest of this video, and one thing I actually did forget to say is this video is broken up into time sections. So in that way it makes this video easier to navigate, and hopefully you can use this as an ongoing resource if you watch down the line. And to access that timestamp, there's obviously broken down along the timeline on the bottom of this video. Also, the timestamps are broken down below in the description just below this video. On the left hand side you will see the actual times correlating to that moment in the video. YouTube has a very cool feature. If you click on that time, it will jump straight to that particular section. So without further ado, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video where Dio of Spoon Crank is going to be showing you his sharpening system. So Dio, for those that are not familiar of Spoon Crank, what is Spoon Crank?
The Spoon Crank came together as a marketplace for people to sell their craft. It started out of the need for green wood for spoon carving initially. It was then when I contacted different carvers through Instagram actually, and asked them, and I shared the idea of sharing the spoon blanks with the rest of us. At the time I didn't have access to green wood, so yeah, this is why I contacted Lee Stoffer, for instance, among other people, to kind of brainstorm my idea to him. But it has evolved, of course. It started like a place where you could actually find green wood, but now makers from all over the world, they're selling their craft, green wood, spoon blanks, tools, and so on.
So with this sharpening system here, before we get into all the different components, what was the genesis and history behind you putting together the sharpening system?
When COVID happened, I had the time to carve because I moved out from Stockholm to my in-laws for a while with my family and my daughter, which Trying to become better at spoon carving and at the same time to keep my tools sharp. I soon realized that I didn't have with me a good solution to sharpen my tools, so kind of started exploring different ideas. We were living quite remotely, so I didn't necessarily want to buy anything. So it started from, I was trying to find different pieces of wood that I could actually find easily in the market, and then that I would be able actually to kind of speed up the process going from grit to grit while sharpening. And this is why I kind of designed this specific sharpening kit.
So moving on to the sharpening system itself, we have all the different components here. So where would you like to start in talking about the entire system itself?
I would like to start actually from what my main issue was when I was trying to sharpen my tools on glass. One of the things is that obviously you cannot necessarily carry it everywhere. So I wanted actually to find something that is not fragile. And then another thing is that the adhesive backed abrasive paper that there was in the market at the time, it would leave residue on the glass or stones or other different flat materials. So I wanted to find actually a solution where you would be able actually to peel off the sandpaper without leaving any residue on whatever the surface might be. I know people use glass, I know people use some kind of stone. Corian is a good non-fragile material that you can use. And that's pretty much it, I think. So the main idea was to be able to swap, to put something together where I could actually swap between the different grits. So this is why I came up with this idea. I'm using acrylic or perspex, as you call them here in the UK. And then I use those adhesive backed wet and dry abrasive paper, which I'm stick them on the acrylic plates you see here. And
just a couple of questions with that. So with the acrylic, would I be right in saying that you tested a lot of different materials before you decided on this one?
Yes, exactly. I tested wood, different kind of hardwood to put my sandpaper on. I tested, I said, different kind of plastics. I tested glass, obviously, and then the tiles and different types of marbles. Everything works. I mean, you can pretty much build your own sharpening kit with whatever might lie around you. You just have to kind of look for it.
And in terms of the sandpaper, okay, the wet and dry, same thing with that. Did you have to, because obviously there's a lot of options on the market. So when people put together their kits, they might just buy whatever they find in their local store or Amazon. But obviously you went beyond that to test a lot of different brands and companies. Is that correct?
Yeah, it is very correct. There is a specific brand that I trust after testing different type of sandpaper, and this is the one I'm using myself. The negative, the downside using sandpaper from this brand is that they don't offer adhesive backed sandpaper. So in order to overcome the obstacle, I had to actually find an adhesive film that it will serve the purpose of being able to stick it on a piece of acrylic or a piece of glass or a piece of stone. And this is why I actually laminate the adhesive paper myself using a very specific type of film which doesn't leave any glue when you peel it off from the acrylic plexiglass.
So is that a problem with a lot of the other systems where it leaves a residue?
Yes, it has been. The reason that I wanted, so sharpening or spoon carving, right? When you do those kind of things, you get into the flow, and I didn't want to interrupt that flow. So I'm trying to create. Whenever I'm trying to put something together, I kind of try as much as I can to relate with the user, right? And give the user the experience, a frictionless experience. To answer to your question, yes, I mean, having to clean up the glass or the surface, it was fairly distracting, to be honest. And this is what I wanted to, and this is something that I wanted actually to find a solution to. Another thing is, of course, obviously this idea, right? The fact that you would, I mean, traditionally you would change, you would put a glass maybe here or on a stone, you would put some sandpaper, and then you would have to peel it off. But then I realized that there is a better way actually to do it, and then is to prepare those plates, those acrylic plates, put the sandpaper on both sides, and then use this base to lock it in like that. So that gives you the opportunity to actually go from grid to grid without interrupting the process.
So with the base itself, could you talk about that?
Yeah, so I tested different type of, in all honesty, lengths, widths, and so on. So I decided to kind of go with this one, mainly because you can use it on your workbench. You can use it like that and sharpen your knives, holding it like that. And you can even, some people like to actually put it on a vise, and that will add, of course, an extra sturdiness to the process. Another thing that I like about this one is like this specific size. I mean, is the fact that you can carry it with you. It's not heavy. It fits in my tool roll, and that was another thing. I wanted to be able to take it with me wherever I go.
So basically it's multi-purpose. You can use it in your studio, workshop, office, wherever, in a permanent location.
Yes.
But at the same time you can transport it around to wherever you may go to sharpen
Yes.
on the go.
Yeah.
That's the base, yeah. Is there anything else you'd like to say? What about the grip underneath the base?
Yeah. So of course, taking just a piece of wood and putting some acrylic on with sandpaper might do the job, right? But then you realize that the wood, it's slippery, right? And that's why I needed to come up with something. Initially, I came with the idea where I put silicone feet, but an Instagram friend suggested this kind of material, so I gave it a try, and it works a lot better. So I changed it. Now, soon, we will be using an even better material made out of silicone, which gives an even better grip on different surfaces. So in terms of stabilizing the wood, I use linseed oil. I impregnate the wooden block at 130 degrees Celsius with refined linseed oil, which is made in Sweden. And that makes the oil thinner, which helps the wood absorb it. The same for the dowels. Linseed oil stabilizes the wood further, and of course it adds an extra layer of protection in humid and outdoor environments.
And so with these strops, on one of them is just plain wood, and the other one, what is that? Is that leather?
Yeah, this is actually leather. So in terms of the leather is kangaroo leather, which is one of the, if not the most durable leather. And we are hand stitching it. Yeah. One side is the leather side, the other side is the sweat side. So this on the sweat side, you will actually use the polishing compound to strop your hook knives. And then after stropping on the sweat side, you can go to the leather side for the final stropping.
And then finally, we have the stropping compound.
Yes. So this is the stropping compound that comes with the kit, and I find it to be convenient. There are many different types that you can find in the market. This is not necessarily the best one, but I'm very happy with the results so far, and it's convenient because of its size.
And so just to kind of wrap up before we do a little demonstration of the sharpening kit in use, the overall gauge for me then is that you have done for each of these components, you have done a lot of rigorous testing. Testing from different companies, different brands, different varieties. Because one important caveat to add is that you are obviously yourself a spoon carver,
Yep.
right? You carve spoons yourself, and you carve very good spoons. So you have a very good understanding of the craft. So not only do you understand the sharpening side of things, but you understand the craft side of things, the making. And obviously the main thing with this, and it's an obvious thing to say, is that this is designed to be used, right? This is designed to really serve a function and be as complete a sharpening kit as possible, that once again you can either use as a permanent location or carry around with you. And so with each of these components, would I be right in saying then that you have done a lot of rigorous testing, a lot of research, a lot of speaking to people, attending events, gatherings, speaking to experts, but also you are still doing that? Is that correct to say?
To me, every gathering, every connection is an opportunity to talk to people, have them test the sharpening kit, give me feedback, and see if there is anything that I can actually do better or learn. The knowledge, I mean, we acquire knowledge from everywhere. So, and I would like to thank everyone sharing knowledge through social media, through your channel, because I feel proud, but this is the result of knowledge that I have acquired from different other people, and I would like to thank people that have tested the kit and they have shared their feedback and they came back to me with suggestions.
So Theo, just to kind of show an example of the sharpening system in use, we're going to be focusing on straight carving knives. So where would you like to begin?
I would like to begin with this Mora sloyd knife. So the way I sharpen this knife, depending on how damaged or blunt is the edge, I will actually choose the grit for the abrasive. If I haven't sharpened for a while, I will start from 400, and then I will either put the wooden block on a surface, on a sturdy surface, and I will do that, or I can use it like that, depending on the setup or the environment. When I'm outdoors, I like to do that as well. Sharpen my knives like that, or on the ground. When I'm indoors, I like to put everything on a sturdy table and sharp like that. There is another way you can do it if you find this hard to control, because obviously sometimes this thing happened, and this is exactly what we'd like to avoid, because then we don't keep the bevel straight and flat. We will eventually change the bevel. we can sharpen like that instead, which makes easier to maintain the bevel flat on this abrasive paper without rocking the blade on the abrasive paper. And I will go like that for the other side, or trying to put force with my finger where I'm working on the part of the blade that I would like to sharpen, because obviously you cannot just do that and sharpen the whole blade. You need to really focus. I break down my sharpening in sections. So I will start from here, where I will put my finger here, and then I will focus on this part, and then on the tip of the blade. And the tip quite often is something that we miss, so I might do that and really focus in there to make sure that it lays flat on the surface of the abrasive paper. And then I will go up to, so normally doubling up works best, which means that from 400 I will jump to 800 grit, and I will do the same. I try to keep balance on how many times I will sharpen from one side and how many times I will sharpen from the other side. It's always good to keep track. And then I will go to 1500, and I will do exactly the same, keeping always in mind that I need to keep I need to count while I'm sharpening, and then focusing on the different sections of the blade. It's always a good idea to really focus on the tip every time you sharpen. The tip is quite important when we sharpen, because we often work on this part of the spoon using the tip. When it's not sharp, it will tear the wood here in this part. That's why it's a good idea to really focus on the tip of the blade whenever we sharpen the knife. Finally, to finish up my sharpening session, I will go to the sweat side of the leather, and I will apply some sharpening compound like that, or polishing compound. And then I will push really hard, making sure that I pull the handle up as I'm pulling, to really focus on the tip. Or I can do that as well. And the same from this side, making sure that I'm applying force on the tip as well as I stropping my blade on the strop, I'm sorry, like that. And you really need to apply force when you do that. Really need to apply force when you do that to remove the burr from the blade. And this is pretty much it for the straight blade.
So just one question I do have is, you on your leather strop you have, am I right in saying one side is suede, the other side is leather?
On this particular strop that comes with the kit, it's the suede side only. But you can additionally get this that comes as an extra.
So this is the leather, yeah?
Yeah, this is the leather side. It's the exact same principle. And what you do is giving the final polishing, where you clean, let's say, your edge from any polishing compound or small pieces of metal remaining on the edge.
So what's
of
the
the
difference between the suede and the leather?
The difference is that the suede So it's the exact same leather that has two sides, the suede side and the suede side and the leather side. The leather side is the top side of the leather. The suede side is the bottom side. The reason we use normally or often the suede leather is because it holds the polishing compound better. That's mainly the reason. My suggestion is to always often use suede leather with polishing compound. You can clean your blade with a piece of paper if you don't want to have an extra step in your sharpening process.
So Dio, next we're going to be looking at sharpening the axe. Where would you like to begin?
What I do while sharpening my axe, I always try to focus on what's the state of my blade. There are two ways to do that. Really carefully, you can run your nail on the very edge to see if there are any nicks, if there is damage. There is no damage whatsoever. Then I do that to see how sharp is the edge of the axe, and this is not sharp at all. It needs to be sharpened. When it's sharp, you can almost not move, not run, not ride the axe, the edge of the axe on the nail. It stops. Another important thing that I would like to highlight is that when you have a flat bevel and you want to maintain, of course, that, you need to pay attention not to sharpen, not to hit, or not to sharpen only this part of the edge. Because what that will do is it will either create a secondary bevel or start changing the angle of your grind, which is something that we would like to avoid. So quite important when we sharpen is to mark the edge so that we get a better feedback when we sharpen. So then what I will do, I will take the sharpening kit and I will hold the axe like this. And then I will start pushing like that, making sure that I hit the bevel where I want, making sure that I'm sharpening the whole bevel instead of sharpening only the edge, hitting only the edge. This is when you hit the edge only, and this is something that you want to avoid, because you will change the angle of the bevel. So I will use circular motion until I'm happy with the way I hit the bevel, and always looking to have a uniform result while I'm doing this. Another way to do it is to lay the axe on your knee like that, and then start just pushing forwards, lifting, hitting and lifting, because obviously you don't want to do that and cut yourself or the abrasive paper. So it's a good idea to exaggerate until you develop the muscle memory. Because I want to maintain flat edge at all times, I always go back and I mark with a marker to make sure that I'm actually focusing on the whole blade, and I'm not hitting only the edge. Depending on the grind, that might take a while, of course. What we're looking is for bare over here. When we are quite confident that we have bare on the edge, across the edge, then we can swap sides and go to the other side. That generally. And there are two ways to do that. You can either do exactly the same thing, so going to the other side of the blade, I will do something like that. Again, being very careful with where my fingers are. Another way to do it is to grab the block from higher up and then push with your finger like that, so that you don't involve your fingers while doing that. Some people like to put the block on a table or on a sturdy surface and then run the bevel on the abrasive. But I have to admit that I'm not very fond of this particular way, mainly because of the weight of the axe. It doesn't give you the feedback that you want. So holding like that, I have better control. This is at least how I feel. And this is, of course, only my personal preference. My suggestion is to try different things and see what works for you. From that we will go to the next one. From there we will go to the next one. And we'll do the same thing. Always trying to keep it flat and run it all over the edge without changing the angle. This is a very quick demonstration. To sharpen this specific axe, it might take a while, mainly because it has a very deep bevel. That's why often we like the hollow grind, because that makes hand sharpening a lot easier. I will keep going up the grits until I'm happy. And then I will go to the strop. Pushing really hard to get rid of that burr. That's pretty much it.
And last question I have for you is, what axe were you sharpening?
Actually, this is a prototype of an axe that we're putting together with Nils Green from Sweden, a blacksmith based in Sweden. We've been in touch for a while, and at some point last year we decided to put together an axe. He's a very talented blacksmith, so I contacted him and asked him if he would be interested. And this is the axe that is traveling around the world so that people get the chance to test it. And this is why it's now in the UK.
Now, Dill, our last demonstration is you sharpening a spoon stroke hook knife. Where would you like to begin?
First of all, I again try to see what is going on with the blade. I'm testing on my nail carefully to see if there are any nicks, and then I run the blade on my nail to see. Here I can feel that it's more sharpened than here. It doesn't stop on my nail. Something that people like to sharpen their hook knives in different ways. Many people like to sharpen the outer profile of their hook knives, but I don't like that. And mainly because I don't trust myself that I will maintain the geometry of the hook knife, the way the hook knife maker has built it. So I would never go for the outer of the other side of the blade on the hook knife. What I would do though is, after sharpening from the inside, I will strop from the outside as well, of course. So a quick demonstration. I won't go through all grits necessarily, but the way the dowels work and the sandpaper that comes with the dowels is like it's just adhesive sandpaper. And then what I like to do is to mark again the inside of the blade, so that I know what I'm doing while sharpening, because obviously it's not always easy to keep the right angle. So having the blade marked, it will give you the necessary feedback. So I lay down my hook blade on the strop because it gives me stability, and then it's raised from the table. And what I do is, again, there are different ways to do it. People do that, and you will see what's happening here with the marker. Again, I like to make sure that I hit the whole blade. An easier way to do it is to parallel run your dowel on the blade instead of trying to push. Pushing feels convenient. It might be more efficient in terms of the different places the sandpaper gets used, but again, it's very easy to start hitting the very edge of the blade and forget about the rest. And that will, of course, change the angle of the hook knife, which is definitely something that we don't want. So I make sure to hit the whole blade. You will find, or you might have hollow ground hook knives, which means that is a part that is concave, like that. That makes sharpening by hand a lot easier, mainly because you don't have to remove the material here, because there is no any. So by sharpening a hollow ground hook knife, you hit only those edges, those very edges. But the process is exactly the same. The only thing you have to do is actually run your dowel on the inside of the hook knife blade, like that. And then you will want to go to the higher grit, finer grit, and do the same thing. And you can keep going. I often put on my dowel 3, 4, maybe 5 pieces of sandpaper, so that I don't have to swap dowels. And after making sure that you have built a burr and you are happy with the results, you can go to the dowel, to the stropping dowel, which again, of course, needs polishing compound.
And this is the suede side, or
This is the suede side. The suede side. Yeah, I always start from the suede side with polishing compound, and I do the same again. This time I really push hard.
And just so there's a point of reference for those watching, what side is the cutting edge on the knife, the spoon knife? What side is the cutting edge?
The cutting edge is here. This
Oh,
part,
okay. So you're pushing away from.
So I push away from the cutting edge. I never pull, because then I will cut my strop and I won't perform the stropping the way it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be performed. So I'm pushing hard, like that. And then what I like to do is, obviously, because we raised the burr to the other side, we will strop
And now you're bringing
away.
it.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, you bring that away from you or towards you?
Now it's away from the cutting edge again, pushing down the burr and polishing the exterior part of the blade at the same time. I might go back and do it once more, until I'm happy with the results. This is not the dowel with a leather side, but for demonstration purposes, this has suede side in both places. But for demonstration purposes, I can actually show what I'm doing when I'm stropping without polishing compound, which is exactly the same way I would do it with a leather dowel.
So the strops, as part of the kit, one side will be suede, the other leather.
Yeah, exactly.
The leather you use without compounds.
Exactly. And now I can feel that the blade behaves differently.
So Theo, just as a final recap, could you just go through what is typically included in your sharpening kits?
Yes, with regards to this specific model, a strop dowel for hook knives is included, a wooden oak dowel for sharpening hook knives is included as well, abrasive sandpaper with adhesive backing for the dowel for the hook knives, adhesive backed sandpaper, wet and dry sandpaper for the acrylic pads for sharpening. The kangaroo strop, the suede side, and the polishing compound that goes here. Those are the main components of this model.
So this is technically like the medium size.
Yeah.
So what is this suitable both for kind of your workspace as well as kind of portable and carrying around?
I use this kit to sharpen pretty much everything, but I have to admit that at some point, especially for spoon carving, you don't need other than this kit, in my personal opinion. But because I'm not only a spoon carver and I'm a woodworker as well, so I'm building stuff, I saw the need, and after different people suggesting different ideas, I designed the larger version of the sharpening kit, which is mainly wider. Few people, it came as a request for few people, and I found it I find it easier to sharpen my plain irons on this one, just because of the width, of the extra width. The extra component, this has one less acrylic plate, but it has the bottle for water to add some drops of water while sharpening on the abrasive sandpaper.
And then lastly, you have the travel portable size here.
Yes. So I like to travel, I like to meet people, I like to attend gatherings, and that was the reason why I built the smallest version of the sharpening kit. This takes not space at all, and I can carry it with me wherever I go, and performs exactly the same way the rest of the sharpening kits perform. Similar components, exactly the same material. The main difference is the size.
So essentially, they've roughly got the same amount of contents in each. They will vary ever so slightly. So you have the smallest here, which is your travel portable kit, but you can still use it at home. You have your medium-sized kit, which is suitable for everything. Then you have a slightly larger kit, which is better suited for more permanent spaces. And just a couple of things then to kind of mention. So number one, would I be right in saying that you're continuously evolving this kit? So you may tweak certain design elements, you may start adding things on, taking other things away, in order to put together what you feel is, a very comprehensive sharpening system. So would I be right in saying that you're constantly developing and tweaking this entire setup?
Yeah, this is exactly right. I'm always fond of listening to what people's feedback and suggestions, and taking consideration their suggestions. It's part of the process, and it will hopefully never stop.
And lastly, when people, if people go ahead, they get this system or they put together their own, but if they buy this system, then are they able to buy individual components separately?
Yes, different people, we have different needs, different routines, different customs. So that's why you can actually build your own kit just by buying the components that you really need. You don't necessarily have to get the full kit. You can go to the website, choose the components you like, and put together your own version of the kit.
So there you have it, my friends. That is a wrap for this video. Dio, thank you so much.
Thank you, Zed. Thank you.
No, the pleasure has been all mine. Like I said at the very beginning, this was my idea to do a video. It wasn't something that Dio suggested. If you know my channel and you're familiar with my channel, I like to bring you as much varied information as possible. And I've spent a lot of time with Dio at festivals, green woodworking festivals and spoon carving festivals here in the UK. And I've seen him use a sharpening system constantly, as well as speaking to other very well-known spoon carvers and craftspeople. And so this was my idea to approach him to say, hey, look, let's just do a video. Let's talk about it. Like I said, yes, he sells these. If it's something you want to get, then obviously there will be a link below in the description. At the same time, this video is more around just giving you some ideas, because as we've mentioned throughout this video, Dio has done a lot of research and development and continues to do that, not just here in his native Sweden, but across Europe and the rest of the world, to find the best materials, the methodologies, techniques, setups, etc. So like I said, link below if you want to grab yourself a kit. And I need to stress something quite important, that I make nothing from this whatsoever. This was my idea to do the video, and anything that you do get with Dio strictly supports him and what he's doing with Spoon Crank and the amazing work they're doing over there on that marketplace. And like I said at the beginning, we have mentioned the different timestamps, so you can skim through the video to the particular sections that you want to go to. And just to reiterate, he currently, at the time of recording this video, does 3 different sizes of the sharpening kits, as well as you can build your own, and or you can add kind of elements to it and take things away. The whole idea with this sharpening system is that this is like the baseline, okay, a very comprehensive baseline. But the idea is that you take it and you run with it. It doesn't mean you just stick with this and do nothing else whatsoever. The idea behind, the whole concept behind this sharpening system, as Dio alluded to earlier on in the video, is he wanted as a complete sharpening system as possible. So it gives you a great baseline. Now, something that we spoke about a little bit off camera is a big incentive for you to put this system together is so that people who are out there, especially those that are newer to spoon carving or kind of carving in general, are able to maintain their tools and use them, knowing that they now are able to sharpen them on the go and wherever they are. Is that correct?
Exactly. Yeah. Having sharpening tools is essential. It's safer. It's something that you need to do constantly. You will never be able to top up your game in wood carving without sharp tools. That's why I wanted to make it easier for all of us.
So like I said, links to everything down below. And what I'm also going to do is put a link below to the Spoon Cramp Instagram profile. And Dio travels a lot. He does a lot of events, not just in Sweden and the UK, but across Europe and elsewhere. And you can see all the work that he gets up to. On top of that, he's a very talented carver, right? So hopefully in a future video, we're able to collaborate where you show your process for spoon carving and maybe another project. So that will be down the line. So at the moment, while we were here at the bowl gathering, I wanted to take the opportunity to film with Dio, do the sharpening video and get it out there. And so this is something I also look forward to testing out myself and use. I'm constantly trying to work towards getting a good comprehensive sharpening system together. And this video has also given me a lot of ideas as I'm filming. So Dio, I really do appreciate once again you allowing me to document. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And guys, like I said, links to everything down below in the description. And I shall see you on the next installment of a Z Outdoors video. Until then, I hope whatever you're doing, you have a blessed day, a blessed week ahead. From Dio of Spoon Crank and myself, Z Outdoors, peace out.